Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neil Seldman. I'm with the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, and I am co-moderating with Brenda Platt, also of the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, this webinar on bottle bills container legislation in the United States, with some information coming in from Canada as well. This is one of a series of webinars for the combined Recycling is Infrastructure 2 campaign, as well as the American Recycling Infrastructure Program. And the three principal sponsors are the Institute, as mentioned, Zero Waste USA, formerly Grassroots Recycling Network, and the National Recycling Coalition. We will be announcing presently the next webinar, which is coming up in September, and then we will continue this webinar series with the new year in January. At this point, I just want to give a shout out to the folks who have been working on this webinar. Jill Danello from Green Education, Brenda Platt, as I mentioned, Bob Geddert from NRC, Gary Liss from Zero Waste USA, and Chloe Seldman from the Institute for Local Self-Reliance. I appreciate the support in putting this together. Now I just want to mention briefly who will be speaking. These are very competent people. I'll give a fuller introduction before each of their presentations, but we do have Chris Berger from the Sierra Club. We have Clarissa Moraski from RIIT, Elizabeth Balkin from RIIT. We have Karen McNamara from Conscious Container. And finally, we have Mary Lou Vandeventer from Urban Ore and the British Columbia Bottle Depot and Recycling Association. We're very excited about the presentation. There are going to be more webinars on this subject and related subjects coming up in the next few months. And we are hopeful that these presentations and discussions are informative to everyone involved in these very important issues on waste and recycling. Having said that, I want to introduce Gary Liss, Zero Waste USA. Gary is also very active in other organizations, certainly the Sierra Club and others. And Gary is going to give us a brief report on the status of the bottle bill in Congress at this point, and he will also orient us on both the Recycling is Infrastructure 2 campaign and the American Recycling Infrastructure Program. Gary, please take it away.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you to our participants. The campaign was developed this spring, trying to build support for the idea that recycling should be part of infrastructure bills pending in Congress. Others have been working on this for many years. The campaign was started by the Institute for Local Self-Reliance and Zero Waste USA, and National Recycling Coalition joined as part of the steering committee to help launch the campaign. One of the things that the National Recycling Coalition contributed was drafting an American Recycling Infrastructure Plan that calls for $16 billion of investment over 3 years, including fees to cover the cost, fees on landfill and incineration of $20 per ton, fees on non-recyclable and toxic materials, also reducing subsidies for federal government programs and other ways to fund that $16 billion. Includes 50 waste reduction, reuse, recycling, and composting initiatives, and it builds on prior plans by the Recycling Partnership, a variety of folks involved with food loss, plastic pollution, and composting, including the Compost Infrastructure Coalition. And the goal of the Recycling is Infrastructure 2 campaign was to bring all those different advocacy efforts together to have everyone understand each other's positions and to support those positions and overall get the message across in Congress that recycling is infrastructure too and needs an investment in making it better for America. One of the components of the American Recycling Infrastructure Plan is support for a national bottle bill. There's two particular items, one calling for the National Beverage Container Deposit System with a $100 million investment to launch it with all different types of beverage containers, having a 10-cent refund or deposit. With existing beverage container programs invited to either continue their state initiatives in the 10 states that have them or join in with a national program. There's also a recommendation in the American Recycling Infrastructure Plan for a refillable bottle market development grant program for $100 million to create a bottle return system that utilizes refillables and includes a target for minimum amount of refillables. This is a key component that we're really trying to stress, following the hierarchy of reduce, reuse, recycle, and reduce and reuse being most important before getting into the recycling. The campaign is asking the network to contact your U.S. Senator and Congressperson